Do you constantly try to shorten your jokes as much as possible? Let's say
I do.
Okay.
I believe in cutting out the fat and
What constitutes fat? Is it anything that doesn't get like an applause break, or is it if people are?
no. Fat is anything that stops you from getting to the punchline quicker.
Okay.
Like fat would be like, I was talking to my mom and she was telling me she was at the store last Tuesday. Okay, well that has nothing to do with the whole entire joke.
Okay.
Just say, my mom told me a story.
Okay.
Like shit like that.
How do you do that?
And then you get better at that over time.
How do you do that? How do you know what's unnecessary words? I mean, I know you've been doing comedy for 15 years, but you have a new bit and you're excited about it. You have this great bit about coronavirus and you're like, can't wait to get on stage. How do you stop yourself from speeding through something and stop yourself, okay, Pat, look at this, what can I cut?
Well, that's where the long form writing to the bullet points come from.
Okay.
Essentially, that the bullet points become essentially rewriting in itself. And what I used to do, I've done this in years, I would type up my jokes, print them out, and then go with a Sharpie and just been like, don't need that. I don't need that. Don't need that. And be like, oh my God, that's 3 whole sentences I chopped out.
Okay.
So I love just short and to the point. And yeah, fat is just anything that stops you from getting to the punchline quicker.
I like that.
But again, that takes time. There's been many. If I were to listen to my first album now, I'd probably find stuff that's too wordy for my liking. But I didn't know any better, and I got better afterwards. But I mean, I've seen, and again, I'm guilty of this, where just comics are talking. And they're setting up the story with just so much unnecessary information.
I mean, is this so? Yeah, I know, and I am very guilty.
But that's natural.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody has done it. Everybody's guilty because you don't know yet, and you have to learn how to get the joke to the most concise way that you can.
So let's talk then about. So it seems like your jokes go from just kind of recapping a little bit. We talked about. The idea circulates in your head, you're kind of digesting it in real time, and it kind of sits there in your head sometimes. It may go in your phone sometimes, but anyways, at some point, you either sit down or you somewhere, you then kind of go from this thing where you just write on an idea, bullet point, and then you write it out again based on those bullet points. What even gets selected in your world to go? I mean, this is a very rigorous process. Even the fact that maybe at some point in your career you are printing out jokes, even just to cut out words. There's a lot of work that goes into these bits, more so than I think people. I mean, more so than I realize. How do you discern if you maybe have 10 ideas? What is worthy of spending hours of your time? Going from this format to this and kind of whittling it down, kind of like it's plinkoing down this rabbit hole of work ethic and your time. Do you separate out jokes anyway, or does every joke get the same treatment until you cut it off at a certain point?
I mean, all of them deserve a chance.
Okay.
If I'm working on a handful of bits, I want to make sure I try them all. And then sometimes natural selection tells you, like, all right, this one has never really worked. Mm-hmm. You think it's funny, but it hasn't worked in the 5 times you tried it, so it's time to let that one go. Mm-hmm. Just because you let it go doesn't mean you can't put it on the back burner and bring it back. There have been a handful of jokes in my career I've shelved for a couple of years and then brought them back when I saw them with fresh eyes. Mm-hmm. But typically, I think, for me, deep down, I know which ones I want to work on, the ones that are most exciting to me. Like if I had like a set list, it's like, okay, I'm working on bowling, hotel sex, and this Applebee's thing. Mm-hmm. These 3 are the most exciting and funny to me right now. So those get preference. And other stuff I think is funny, I'll still work on. Mm-hmm. But I had this, I don't know, I feel like every comic has their own intuition where it's like, oh, I'm really excited about this one. So this one or these 2 or 3 are going to get my full attention right now.
Okay. Now, if you are writing something out, let's say like you're 3 and 4 sentences in and you like it, you think it's gold, and then you're like, I have nothing else to contribute to this. Do you force yourself to keep writing more and make it longer, or you're like, or are you okay settling for a 3-sentence joke which might take 15 seconds telling it on site? Like maybe like a one-liner, just have a punch and then move on somewhere else.
Yeah, a 3 sentence joke that I like a lot. I will try to find somewhere to put it.
Okay.
Like sometimes those little smaller loner things can be put somewhere else.
Okay.
As an attachment, something or so. Typically, sometimes a little aside. You can open up a joke and be like, "Hey, so I was bowling last week.
Yeah.
Before I went bowling, I ABC." You do the quick joke. They laugh. You bring it back to bowling. Like some of the smaller things can usually find little spots to fill.
Okay.
Or little like places to go.
Now, when you take the joke from the bullet point stage and you're writing it out now again, what kind of goes into your head? You have 4 bullet points on this paper. How do you write that out? Like, how do you know without being too wordy? Like, do you make sure like each 4 has just like a separate punchline, or do you then kind of like chart out? Okay, I have these 4 points I want to make. Let me now analyze these 4 points further and start charting out. So, like, do you now like expand off those points, or do you just take those 4 bullet points and just try to write them out into maybe 4 or 8 sentences that are longhand now?
Yeah, it's like the bullet points. I kind of know what I'm already saying in my mind at that point. And
Okay.
So they're just little reminders for me to glance at. But once they're bullet points, I kind of already know where it is up here. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So the bullet points are more just like doing a PowerPoint presentation. Like if you were like, okay, there's this. I know what I'm saying for these. Here's this one. I know what I'm saying here.
Okay.